so I just had a bit of a giggle with the wife, the love of my life. I'm looking a bit dapper, and I just come out of the shower. I always look a bit pale when I come out of the shower. Look at that. I'm donning the old Divide top on tonight because I've been having quite a bit of chat since the Wrexham game with a lot of different Ipswich Town fans, and the fan base is getting a bit divided, which is unheard of, really, in recent, until sort of under the McKenna regime, shall we say. Anyway, let's get into this. I'm Mike the Fisherman, and this is Fisherman's Blues. This is everything Ipswich Town, Championship, and whatever games Ipswich play. Even sometimes talk about the women's game, the women's team, bless them, picking up points, doing a lot better. Game called off at the weekend. I'm under the impression that was called off about 2 hours for the game. Sheffield United, I think it was, they were better to play. But they're picking up points. But anyway, if you like what I do, like what I offer, and like hearing me, what I got to say and stuff, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button. It helps with the numbers, as they say. And I just do this for fun. I'm not looking for recognition, and I know it on fan base, but this is me. Anyway, to it, shall we? Wrexham versus Ipswich, Friday night kickoff. Town make 10 changes, which look, is the fan base surprised? No, I don't think any of them was surprised, other than the team that I thought that went out. I thought maybe some of the younger players from the under-21s or whatever might have given an opportunity. We've got Adi Croucher, Stowmarket tractor boy, a legend in the game. Love him. He's a top fan. Evening, everyone. A very disappointing performance and disappointment for all the Tans fans who bothered to travel all that way. Adrian says we move on to the league game. And Dee, how you doing, sir? Hope you're well. I'm just going to adjust my screen slightly. There we are. And so, anyway, we line up with the changes, and you think, okay, there's a lot of players there that are sort of, crawling up to try and, get a first team place. Reasonably strong side, as they say. We kick off. We have I think we controlled the game for the first 20 minutes, and then it was, wow. Laughable regarding our strikers. McKenna says no one's better out there. Okay. Well, look, I said it before. There's a couple of donkeys in a field near me. They're quite better than our forward line at the moment. Crikey, there's some points being made here. Let's catch up. Mind now on the league. Evening, EJ Norris. Hope for the better performance from the Talon. I love that saying. Hopefully we'll show that on Saturday. I'm more disappointed that not one of the 11 except Palmer made a real claim for a place. Neil was poor. Yeah, I'll give you that. Evening, Mike. 3, 2, 1. We have taken off. That game was shite. Manager was not interested in the game. Absolutely. Big up to you, mate. Much love to you and all Ipswich fans. Thank you very much. Stretford End podcast. Love that. Another good podcast. I do watch a lot of different channel podcasts these days. Supporters made the effort. Pity our players did not. And that is my point. We have supposedly one of the best squads in this league. We have got strength and depth, apparently, off the bench, on the bench, and apart from our 11 players. Now, not one player staked a claim for a first team start. Not one player. Stretford and me too. I caught myself listening to an Anfield agenda yesterday. Oh dear God. Oh, quite! I'd never have heard that from a United fan a few years back. I think if we don't go up, McKenna will be gone. Very disappointed with Friday. Absolutely agree. Win next week with a full 11 and a better performance, and all is forgiven. No, I don't forgive those players that cannot be bothered to turn up, because let's be fair, 9 of the 11, I would say, maybe 8 of the 11, couldn't be bothered. And I'll go through them. Palmer, I thought, look, bit of a dodgy header in the first half. And it was a bit, yeah, it wasn't great. But he redeemed himself. Woody Wood said, "Evening, Mike. McKenna is now predictable in his flip-flop selection. It's boring. He used his free hit, approach with the FA Cup lineup he went with. Very disappointing. Absolutely agree." So, obviously Palmer, I didn't think Palmer had a bad game. I thought he redeemed himself quite well after his early little sort of mistake, whatever you want to put it. I like Palmer, good goalkeeper. I think we've got 2 very good goalkeepers in Walton and Palmer. Are they good enough for the Premier League? Couldn't tell you. I'm not gonna say. I thought Ben Johnson on the right did okay. Not as good as Furlong, but Ben did a good job. I thought there was a good solid 6 performance from him. Kipre, look, I've seen some really disgruntled comments and stuff being said about Kipre. He is a quality centre back. He was playing on the right of the 2, where he normally plays on the left. Get that shirt off. All about the blue, mate. All about blue. So obviously, look, he didn't have the most. It wasn't his best game. He has looked a bit shaky 1 or 2 games, but I still think he's a very good quality defender. He's a defender I'd take to the Premier League, 100%. I think he doesn't have a lot of pace, but what he does have, a lot of physicality, and he reads the game really well. So for me, look, Kipre can be forgiven. He's played a lot of game. Looked a bit leggy. Not going to say that. Would you take Maresca back if Maresca back if McKenna gets the sack? I don't think McKenna will get the sack. I think he'll be offered another job. I think maybe he'll probably move on at the end of the season if we don't go up. Anyway, so we'll go back to the game. And then obviously Greaves, I thought, had a good 6 out of 10 performance. I don't think he did much wrong. Unfortunately, Baggett was an absolute, well, I feel for the lad. I think it's time that he left the club and moved on to kickstart his career at another club. I really do. I think there's clubs out there that could really offer him first team football. He's not going to get it at Ipswich. I think it's time for him to move on. I think it's the same with Humphreys. I think these 2 guys have given a lot, but they've not been given a chance. Are they good enough for the first team right now? No. I think it's like anything, a lot of fans, a lot of clubs, a lot of managers want, ready meals, as I call them, and them 2 are not. They've come through the youth. I like Humphreys. It's just not physical enough for me in this league. Look, he did well at Wickham. I think, realistically, he should have gone back. And that's the bottom line on that. Another player, really, who should have started that FA Cup game to see what he's got, And then we get on to the 2 midfield players, Cajuste. Probably his worst performance in the town shirt. Offered nothing going forward, offered nothing defensively. Few good turns here and there. That's about it. Far too much of a luxury player. I don't understand what position he really wants to play, because it ain't a midfielder, that's for certain. And Neil, I thought he was very ring rusty. I thought at times he looked a bit like your dad had just been shoved in the game to make up the numbers. I didn't think he had a particularly very good game. Oh my God, here we go. My old mate Dwayne is in the chat. Hello, bud. Here we go again. Big yawny face and snoozy face. Well, you know what you can do, Dwayne, don't you? You can click off. No, he's right. He's a good lad, good friend of mine. So then again, we can say, you know, we look at our front three of Agelli in the number 10. Look, it's not his fault that the price tag he's been given, that he come to this club, it's not his fault. But what I will say is, if you come in with that price tag, you've got to put a lot more than what you put in that game. I mean, that was as close to poor as you could possibly get. I mean, if you know, if you're not going to try, not going to give it a go at least, then go elsewhere, mate. That was as poor a performance as I've seen of someone in a town shirt for a long time. And I've given McAteer some absolute pelters and some good, and some, quite honestly, some very good criticism, really, because I haven't been impressed with him. But at least he tried. Another player that's sort of, you know, 5.5, put a ball on the... Imagine if you guys had you right for a striker, I would feel you would bring you guys up. I couldn't agree more. This is our problem. McAteer absolutely laid a peach of a ball onto Hurst's foot. There was no defender problem, nothing. He just fluffed his lines. Mr. Bread and Butter. Mr. No Bread and Butter Feet, I would say, because let's be brutally honest, I think my 9-year-old daughter could have scored that goal. Even I could have scored that goal. It was really poor. Professional players at that level do not do air shots. Yeah, pink boots. But anyway, let's go on to obviously McAteer, and then on the left, Akpom. Well, if he was put on in that position to try and do a Jack Clark, Philogene role, fucking hell, he got that wrong, didn't he, McKenna? Absolute howler, that one. And then it goes on to Hurst again. Captain Hurst. Well, Captain Caveman with no idea, I think. He was absolutely awful. And this is people keep justifying and sticking up for these players, and you tell me another workplace where if you don't give 100% and if you don't work hard and you don't put a shift in, yeah, that keeps your job, Mister. I'm 15 grand a week, whatever. 15 grand a week. At 56 years old, I'd run around that pitch for 15 grand a week. I'm telling you. Even at my age. So, you know, whatever their wages are on, you know, right now, that I feel sorry for all the town fans that went to Captain League One levels. McKenna will die on that hill. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. But then, like I said, you know, and then the substitutes were strange. I thought the substitutes were just downright madness. You know, Jack Clark, left wing back. What's that all fucking about? I mean, seriously. Yeah, Luke Shaw, for example, 2k a week, 200k a week, and he's everything. Do you know what, Luke Shaw? I think he's still doing really well for United. I think he offers, you know, you can sell it. You can see there's a bit of quality there. Just a shame he didn't stay fit for most of his United career. It would have been different. But the thing is that annoyed me is that this McKenna football is becoming very boring to watch. If we, you know, this game against Wrexham coming up in the league, by God, we've got to do something different, because the way we played against them was just woeful. Look, I can handle losing games. You can say, right, okay, that was poor defending, that was shocking defending, but there's been far too many games this season where we've drawn games. And we've lost games because we've been utterly shit. But that FA Cup was probably one of the worst games. I mean, that has got to be on par. Bristol Rovers. I mean, like, people say at least some of the League One games when we went down were bad, and even some of the Championship games were bad. But Christ, that was next level, wasn't it? Lamborghini or Ferrari? I would argue we were an FSO, fairly swift orange, as they call them. That's what we were. We one of them Yugoslavian rust bucket crackbox things of the 90s, shall we say. Who remembers a Yugo anyway? The Yugo FSO, Fairly Swift Orange, or whatever they were called. Absolute dog shit cars, weren't they? And that was what we were on Friday night. And Wrexham thoroughly deserved the victory. If they didn't need to really work that hard. They looked threatening because we allowed them to be threatening. Non-existent midfield with players that played in the Premier League. You guys almost beat us last season. You have a good team when they turn up. Like you said, if they can't be bothered, then why do they wear the badge, mate? Absolutely. And I'll tell you something now, right? Our biggest issue is recruitment. Absolutely recruitment. It has been absolutely dire. And it really is. We were crying. I mean, no disrespect. Like I said, I've got 2 donkeys in a field not far from me, right? That would have jumped in ahead of Hurst and Azon for strikers. They were better than them right now. And what we got? We've got these 2 strikers who are just not scoring at all. We've got Philogene out to the end of April, I think it is, or end of March, something like that. I know he's out for a while now. We've got Nunes, who should be back soon. But even Mehmete, when he come on, just didn't look like he wanted it, didn't look like he cared. And that's the sad thing about it. Fans, do you think Delap regrets leaving now? No, I don't think he does, to be fair. I'm not sure he's Premier League striker of Chelsea ready yet, but he's a good player. And like I said, I just feel that all them fans that went to Wrexham Friday night, they expected an F. What were they expecting was a good Weatherspoons meal, and what they got was an A11 junky food dish served up from a stall. And okay, it was football, but it weren't really worth eating, was it? Let's be fair. And this is the thing about why I'm wearing this shirt tonight, divide, because I think fans are becoming divided. They're becoming divided over Ashton. I think he's very much a PR guy. The club gives it all about the fan base and the family and all this lot, the fans and all that. I emailed the club before Christmas and said, could I take my brother, my terminally ill brother, I might add, to meet the players at Playford Road on a training session, or just sit there and watch it just for half an hour. It went through to one person, it then went through to another, and I've not heard nothing since. So look, if it's me, fine, then somebody else. But that says everything I need to know about Ipswich Town as a club. They can't be bothered, to read an email about, of something like that. At the end of the day is, it was just Joe Bloggs, then I can understand it. But this is my terminally ill brother, I wanted to do that as a Christmas present for him. Well, we're into February now, I've still heard nothing from the club. So, that to me, it is bloody poor in my opinion. And I hope someone from the club is watching this, because I think it's not a disgrace. But anyway, so like I said, we get told all about this. We are fans, we are family, it's all about the fans and stuff like that. Well, I would say bollocks. It isn't. It's all about Ashton and how much he can promote himself and come across like he's this saviour of our club. Game Changer saved our club, not Ashton. He's and as much as I know he's done some good things, the whole recruitment of our club has been absolute dog shit bar 1 or 2. And I just feel that, we're in a position now that all our eggs in the basket now, all our eggs are in the championship now, and there's no excuses. If we don't go up, then I'm sorry, but McKenna has to go. And I would question Ashton's role at this club as well. Because quite frankly, it hasn't been good enough. We have less points in the season we went up automatically. I think we're on 69 at that point, and we're on 51 at the moment. So that goes to show the difference between, and we're in a worse league now than what it was then. So it just goes to show where we are as a club right now. And I know it's all doom and gloom after a loss, but to be brutally honest, the club is, to go out and put a performance like that is disrespectful to the fan base. It's disrespectful to the badge. And I'm not going to have Mr. PR guy or Mr. McKenna come on and make excuses for that dross, because that was dross. And like I said, it's a shame because there's Ipswich Town as a club, as a fan base, is very big club. It's huge, got a lot of history, and I wouldn't fancy my chances against Norwich right now. I mean, their form is ridiculous. I think they're top of the table in form table. I think the form table they're top. They're 8 points off the playoffs. Who's to say they don't make the playoffs? Could be Ipswich Norwich in the playoffs, and do you know what I mean? So. One of my families and MK Dons fans, I'll tell you, mate, he had hair 1 year ago and he's pulled it all out. Yeah, MK Dons are, strange club, aren't they? I'm not too worried about them. Who'd you lose to? We lost to Wrexham. Miss Ipswich in the Premier gave us some great games. Again, do you know what? I think there was some good games, but most of the time it was pretty poor. We tried to kept playing a certain style, and we were just predictable in the Premier League, like we are now in the Championship. We don't mix it up enough. The only time we ever do well is when we're proactive with the way that we play and the way that we put the ball forward more, the way that we work hard, the way that we're more aggressive. We're a lot more. The forward line badges around, the press, we press as a 4. What formation is McKenna using? It's normally 4-2-3-1. And like I said, it's how we've played all the time. There's no real change to it. It's plan A with plan A. And like I said, at the moment, when you see the game against Wrexham, you see the players that were playing, you think to yourself, well, where's our strength and depth? Because quite frankly, not one of them deserves to even have a game in the first team after that performance. Can you play a 5 at the back as well? We don't play that way. McKenna doesn't play that way. He's a one-trick pony with the way he plays. He's going to do what he wants to do, and he thinks he's untouchable. It was a game for players who rarely feature. And Eric, you are absolutely right. So no disrespect, if you rarely feature and you want to get out there and prove to the fan base you're worthy of a start, or at least worthy on the bench, you give 110%. None of the players gave 110%. One or two were close to the 98%, but the rest just couldn't be bothered. Slow. And like I said, our midfield might as well have had me and Cruncher in the midfield, because I think we'd have given it more effort, But that's it. That's where I'm at with it. I am divided with the club at the moment. I'm quite happy to call the club out as well. Like I said, you had an email from me. You failed to even bother emailing me back after having that email forwarded to the so-called other team. But there we are. We got this season, we'll get bashed up every week again. With that squad, unfortunately, quite a few would need to go. Premier ready striker is and has been needed all season. There's one or two strikers that could have come to us and we should have come to us. I mean, it's the way we play. I mean, Smodic comes to us and McKenna ruins him. Agelli comes to us and McKenna ruins him. And, that's how it feels. you know, players that were doing well in their other clubs coming to us and don't. Akpom, Middlesbrough, tearing it up. It just, you know, I find it strange, very strange that we, you know, that we don't have this this manager that's able to mix things up a little bit. You know, it took him the first half of the season to get a settled back line, when most of the fans after 5-6 games were saying, look, let's just stick to a back four and go with it. But not McKenna. He wanted to sit there and mess around with it too long. Does that cost us points? I would argue it has cost us points. You could try Beto or maybe Xerxes. Not for me. Not for me. I'll tell you who I do like at your club, that Ahmed kid. He's a good little player. But look, this is my views. You may not agree. You may agree. But at the end of the day is, no one can question me and say to me, look, I'm not an Ipswich Town fan, because I bloody well am. And I remember relegation from Division 1. I remember going back up to the Premier League. I remember getting relegated. I remember going back up to the Premier League. I remember getting relegated, back down to League 1, back up to the Championship, back up to the Premier League, and back to, back to League 1. So I've been there, and I know many fans have as well. But Wrexham next again. For God's sake, let's do a better performance than what we showed in the FA Cup. Do I care we're out of the cup? No, don't give a shit. We're never going to win it. Unless we're sitting fifth in the Premier League with an established Premier League club side, we ain't got a hope in hell. So, am I disappointed we're out? Not at all. But if we're going to lose a game with some pride. And unfortunately, them players offered no pride. So on that note, thank you for joining me. Hit that like button. We've got 20, we've had about 41 in one point, only 16 likes. Give me 30 likes. I'll be happy with that. And until next week, which will be, I'll probably do one again next Sunday. Again, please come and join me. Please watch my videos, share them. Tell your friends, come and join me, where I'll talk about anything, including football. Thank you, Mike. Very welcome, Stretford End. Absolutely. We have asked Wrexham not to put the goals up next week as we don't need them. Absolutely. Totally agree. So, that's everything. No shots on target. What is all that about? Divide the fan base. I'm done. Laters, buds.